Hello everybody, Joel here. So today I have a story. It's actually a love story, and it's about a hammer. So I was thinking this past week about a long time ago, probably I would say the year was 1994, and I was working on a project as an electrical contractor. I had just started a business by myself and was working on the first large project that I had gotten at the time, and it was a remodeling project for a local municipality. And I was working in that facility, and it was coming towards the end of the project, and had pretty much wrapped it up, and had a lot of other work going, residential and light commercial work, service and new stuff. And I couldn't find my hammer. I had lost my hammer, my favorite hammer that I had bought, I believe, at Knox Lumber. Might have been in Coon Rapids, Minnesota, back when Knox Lumber was in the upper Midwest. And I think I may have bought that hammer in about 1992. And I love that hammer. It went everywhere with me, and I used it a lot. And I was very sad when I lost the hammer. So I did have to replace it. In the electrical industry, especially doing residential work, you do need a hammer. And my belt loop felt empty without my trusty hammer. So I picked up a new hammer. This is my new hammer, probably purchased at a hardware store, maybe Menards. Tried to find a manufacturer on it. Can't even find a manufacturer. It's got all kinds of warnings and cautions on it, but it's not like my other hammer. This one's a little bit heavier than my other hammer. This has a red handle. My other hammer has a blue handle. And so I used this hammer for quite a while and was banging out some residential houses and some light commercial work. It was maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, could even be longer than that. And it became my trusty hammer, but it was never the same. I always preferred the claw like this, not the really hook claw. I prefer more of a framing claw. The trim claw kind of curves down a little bit more like this. I always preferred the framing style claw. Now I did have some framing hammers also. I had a couple of East Wings, a trim size and a framing size, but those were not the same. I wanted a fiberglass hammer for my electrical work. So it was about 2 to 3 years later, maybe more, I got called back to this project for some service work. And I was in the main switchgear room where I'd installed a 600 amp three-phase main panel. And it was the same room that the water riser came in for the sprinkler system, for the water for the facility. And lo and behold, if I didn't find my hammer, my trusty blue hammer, laying on the floor, getting all rusted out. The head was solid rust just from sitting underneath that water riser and getting condensation on it. It was sitting on a concrete floor, but I could not believe it. I took my red hammer out of the pouch immediately and put my trusty blue hammer into the pouch, and I just started using it again. And you can see that this hammer has been worn so poorly that the head slides back and forth a little bit. But any good electrician worth his salt knows that you can wrap solid strand wire around the handle of a hammer and use black electrical tape. It has to be black, and you can get this cinched up. This one obviously needs to be redone, but you can make that hammer head stay for a long time with a good piece of solid building wire. Has to be copper also, and some black electrical tape. But this hammer was all rusted. Like I said, it's a Stanley, and I'm thinking it's 1992 circa, maybe even 90. Could be 1990 for all I know. And that went immediately onto my pouch, and I kept using it and using it. Now, the beauty of this hammer is, I don't know if some of you have tools like this, but I could spin this hammer so easily in my hand just by holding on to the head of the hammer. And that always felt good. I mean, it was kind of a comfort thing on the job when you're trying to think. Oftentimes you have to think on the spot, contemplate sometimes how you're going to do something. But I would spin this thing, and the rust came off very easily after I started using it again. That was not an issue. So needless to say, I retired the red handle. The red-handled hammer now lives in a drawer in the laundry room and doesn't see much light of the day. And this one just does not spin in the hand. Look at the size of where the head is and the size of the shaft on between the face of the hammer and the main part of the hammer. It just does not spin the same like the other one. It's just really clumsy and off-center. And that Stanley hammer was the bee's knees. So there you go. That's my story about the love affair with my blue fiberglass handled Stanley hammer. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little story. Hit the like and subscribe, and we will see you all on the next video.